Hey Reddit.
What conspiracy theories do you think are too logical to ignore?
Say hi to us in the comments. And subscribe if ya want.
That this question is reposted every couple of weeks by them to see just how close the public is to figuring out their schemes. And that this response is reposted every time to throw you off our trail.
That's right. We're on to them being on to us being on to them.
David Miscavige, the chairman of the Church of Scientology, definitely murdered his wife and is getting off scot-free for it. Him and his wife got into a pretty heated argument in 2007. And she hasn't been seen since. Lawyers hired by David claim she is still alive and devotes 100% of her time to work at the Church of Scientology. Which is why she hasn't been seen since August 2007. In 2013, a former member of the church had filed a missing person report that was closed after a few officers had spoken and seen Mrs. Miscavige. Even though there's no evidence whatsoever of this meeting. All missing persons reports now are turned down since this investigation is forever closed.
She is either dead or locked in a bunker.
Leah Remini has had it investigated as well and written letters to Shelley with no response. Before Leah left the church, she wrote letters to Shelley that the church refused to deliver. And when she asked where Shelley was, she was told she didn't have clearance to ask that question.
Mattress Firm is a drug cartel or a money laundering company, or maybe they're laundering money for the drug cartels. I don't know, but whatever it is, they're up to no good.
We talk about this at work all the time. There's an area that has 3 of them within about 5 miles of one another. Who are all these people buying mattresses so frequently that you need 3 stores to keep up with the sales?
People always say this, but it's much more simple. The markups are insane. Mattresses don't cost that much, but you buy them so rarely that the cost is through the roof. Otherwise they'd never survive. This is the same for jewelry and high-end clothing.
With the number of billionaires that are psychopaths or similar, there must be a few super rich serial killers out there. By extension, there must be people making money supplying victims in the same way Epstein was supplying girls to the wealthy who wanted to scratch an itch. With the money, power and influence would come governments and intelligence agencies willing to overlook or cover up terrible actions for leverage.
This makes sense to me. When you can literally buy anything, the only interesting things become those things you aren't supposed to be able to get.
There are theories that many famous female stars who were blacklisted, Megan Fox is a good example, were blacklisted because they refused to sleep with directors and producers.
New Coke was a way for Coca-Cola to switch from real sugar to corn syrup without people noticing. Switch to the new formula that everyone hates. Keep it for a while so that people demand the old one back. Then switch it back after enough time has passed that people wouldn't notice the relatively subtle change.
The change is not subtle at all once you've switched to Mexican Coke for a while. Which is still made with cane sugar. Going back to the corn syrup Coke is awful now. It coats your mouth in this weird gross way that is hard to ignore.
I thought it was just a ploy to drive up sales and the stock price. Switch to a new formula which people don't like. A lot still continue to buy out of habit because Coke is such an institution. Then release Coke Classic which everyone misses and the sales skyrocket.
Nothing's actually happening in Area 51. The government just keep it so people will focus on it and ignore the shady stuff happening somewhere else.
Actually, Area 51 was created during the Cold War as a testing and development facility for aircraft, including the U-2 and SR-71 Blackbird reconnaissance planes. And currently it's probably being used to test few weapons, and that's it. Every country has their secret projects and we all know it. The entire alien and conspiracy theories have only fueled movies and TV shows. That's it.
That the US knowingly left POWs behind in Vietnam.
Isn't that just the plot of the second Rambo film?
Can you elaborate further as to why you think this? Genuinely curious.
Google Maps only asks you for feedback on its navigation when it knows it did a good job. I use navigation all the time. And I find that when it gets me to the destination on time or earlier than predicted, I get a notification asking to rate the trip. But if it gets me there after it originally estimated, I never get that notification.
It wouldn't be difficult to program this into the program. So you're likely correct. Google probably figures they don't want to ask you right after they did a bad job.
The fashion industry makes too much money from purses to care about making pockets for women easily available.
Wanna really have your mind blown? Take your pants to a seamstress. We can add pockets or make existing pockets bigger. I do it all the time. $5 a pocket and I measure your phone to make sure it fits in without any issues.
I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. It's just accepted fact.
I like that people always are worried that Epstein was murdered instead of suicide. What if this was a ploy to cover up that he just escaped or paid his way out of prison?
Well, shiz.
This is why I like the phrase, Epstein didn't kill himself. It can be understood at least two ways. He died in prison by being murdered outright. Or his powerful contacts helped him get out of prison. Same end results for the phrase.